Welcome to Freelance Talks. Here we discuss the dark side of freelancing about which nobody usually talks out loud. In this show, we speak with experienced freelancers, and I'm sure listening to their stories helps you prepare for freelancer challenges. My name is Yuri. I'm a community builder at Code Control and 9am.works, and my guest is Cihan Kileci, a UX UI designer and front-end development freelancer with a decade of experience who founded an Ember Design agency 6 years ago and works with freelancers himself. So, welcome, Cihan.
Thanks for having me, Yuri.
I always start with the easiest question. For you, as a freelancer, what is the most challenging part?
Oh, that's the easiest question. I think since founding my agency, the switch from a freelancer to a management mindset is quite hard for me. So yeah, to answer this shortly, I think that's it.
How do you feel about that? What is the hardest part of this switching process?
I think I would like to think that I was quite a good designer back in the day, right? And now switching my position into leading a team, coming up with business processes and project management processes, and getting more and more involved in like the sales game of it and stuff like that, made my schedule very, very broken. Back in the day, I could focus and work on one thing or maybe two things that were important, right? And now it's even hard to determine what is important and what's not, because there are a lot of dynamic things going on and people asking for uh, I don't know, advice, direction, and whatnot. And that basically is breaking my schedule and being productive, even though your schedule works against you, is a hard challenge for me.
So there is a like a professional journey for freelancers. So sometimes you create collaboration with other freelancers, sometimes you start your own agency. But what I also hear that many freelancers do not want to do any of that, and they're like, I'm just freelancer, I'm just continue being a freelancer, like I'm just a freelancer. So why did you decide to create an agency?
Yeah, so everything that happened to me in my life is almost by chance. I did not plan this out. I never thought about going freelance. I never thought about founding an agency. Actually, as a junior, when I actually was a junior in an agency, I thought to myself that I will never work in an agency ever again. So that's the sarcastic part about this. But yeah, my reasoning behind founding an agency really was I was a freelancer, quite successful actually, and the bigger clients you get, the more legal restrictions and responsibilities they put upon you, right? You need to take like good care of your finances. You need to look deeper into like legal things, stuff like that. And I just felt like that this fucks me up. I just didn't feel like doing it, honestly, on like a personal level. And I thought that I would need a business partner to actually grind through all of these kinds of topics. And yeah, that was one main reason. The other main reason was that I that I had the idea of having my own team, right? Because as a freelancer, you only work on projects and you switch like the team members of your current project a lot of times. And I like growing with people, and I also have the strong urge to actually, how can I put this? Help more junior people get better, and you simply cannot do that as a freelancer.
Got it. So coming back to your freelancing practice,
Mm-hmm.
what was the most time-consuming thing that you must deal with as a freelancer, except the job itself, except designing part itself?
Yeah, Yuri, but that is exactly my problem. I did not spend enough time on project management, on sales, on legal and stuff like that. So I focused on my design part, and I, it was just a huge mess.
Mm.
Starting with like doing my taxes, going over like bigger proposals that bigger companies want and stuff like that. So I should have been doing that, and I knew that I should have been doing that, but I did not. I simply procrastinated over those kinds of topics. Hence the decision, okay, this is probably not going to work in the future. I need someone to take over these tasks if I want to grow. And that's exactly what I did. So I really cannot answer your question because I took so little time to do these other things, but I should have taken more time to do these other things. But I
What
was
I
designing and coding my life away.
what I hear is that if you are really love what you are doing, if you're a designer or a coder or whatever you do, and you really love what you're, just find a partner, start an agency, and you keep doing what you love doing, and they will take care of everything for you.
I mean, that is not exactly my suggestion. I think founding an agency is another adventure in itself. But that is certainly one way to handle these things. And also, it does not have to be like an agency. You can always outsource these kinds of things. Just get a good tax consultant, tell him that you want your invoicing done by him, you want your tracking done by him, and you only have like a short interface where you slap in some numbers that you track on your projects. And I'm sure that there are people and personal assistants and whatnot that can provide these types of services. And if this makes you more productive at the work that you actually love doing, please outsource all distractions and go for what you love.
As a freelancer right now, it's we see that AI tools are growing, and I feel like it will be, and it already is, and it will be even bigger part of outsourcing. So basically, if you are creating content, you can outsource most of your content creation to ChatGPT or whatever tool you use. And I'm curious, from your perspective, what are those things that freelancers should and shouldn't delegate to AI?
Oh, that's very complicated questions because AI is growing so rapidly that it's very hard to predict what are the best topics to invest in AI. So, but I can maybe talk about the areas that I invest in that I think for myself are working pretty well. So first of all, the entire ideation phase. So if we're strictly talking about ChatGPT to me feels like almost my personal assistant, right? I have set up and taught ChatGPT in a certain way who I am, what I do, what my beliefs are, and the tonality of my written voice, right? And after having done that, it's almost like I'm speaking to myself, and I'm brainstorming ideas with myself. I'm challenging problems. I'm evaluating things with ChatGPT, right? So use ChatGPT as your assistant that you go out on a coffee with. Just talk about what's going on, and you would be surprised how many good ideas and how even challenging these conversations can be. Yeah, so personal assistants makes sense with ChatGPT. Obviously, the other part you already mentioned, I think content creation is pretty easy. So I still take my time to write everything myself in a first version or in a rough draft, right? Or rather in like some prompt engineering way, right? But then I let ChatGPT take over, let's say, about 30% of my entire communication. So chances are, if you're speaking to me over, I don't know, LinkedIn or something like that, if you're seeing some of the posts, probably half of them are heavily ChatGPT influenced, especially if I don't have the time, or honestly, not fun topics, I tend to avoid, and I tend to let ChatGPT do them for me.
Delegate not fun topics to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Let them do the saddest work, let's say.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that, but I feel like it's also a very crucial part that you tweaked, basically you trained ChatGPT into having one more version of yourself. So your feels like talking to yourself. And I feel like it's something that many people miss
Yeah.
to really teach, to really prepare ChatGPT to work with you, because they just throw to them like, give me this, give me this, give me this, and then like they, shit in, shit out. But if
Exactly.
you
the quality of the output of ChatGPT is dependent on the quality of the input. And the better the input, the better the output, right? And what I like to do is to come up with custom GPTs where you actually can pre-prompt information, data, and whatnot. So, for example, I have like this Cihan LinkedIn GPT that exactly knows what I like, how I write, how I speak, what are my ethical stances, what is my level of education, stuff like that, right? And providing this upfront makes the stuff that ChatGPT writes so much better. And most people, I'm not good. I don't want to be judgy, but I feel like most people just tell ChatGPT, I need this text. It needs to be this long. It's this topic. Please write it for me. That's a very, very bad prompt. Literally anybody could write that prompt. It's not individual. It's not interesting. There is no idea, esprit, passion, anything behind it. If you want ChatGPT to be good, you need to be good as a prompt engineer.
Totally. And you have to learn, like if you are not there yet, it's time to start doing it. And I'm curious, as a freelancer, what is the most nerve-wracking thing that you was dealing with?
I actually think that going through all the financial issues was it for me. So some clients demanded like almost pitch-like offers. I always couldn't really ask myself to do that actually, and all like the back office things, right? Writing all the invoices in time, having your time tracking in place. If a client did not pay you, how are you going to go against that? And that is probably also the most that is one of the main reasons I started my agency. I think that was very nerve-wracking, and also maybe the financial instability. I mean, obviously as an agency I have different concerns, right? But as a freelancer, you are very much, or in most cases at least, dependent on one or two big clients to provide you with work. And if one of those clients breaks off, you are basically in a spiral of something bad, because then you immediately need a new client. And as looking at the current market situation, I think that is a great concern.
And as a freelancer, did you ever feel professional loneliness?
Yeah, that's also one of the reasons I switched. I felt very lonely. I cannot remember or count how many lonely nights I did bug fixing on my own because I could not delegate my work. I could not rant and moan to anybody really, because I brought this upon myself and now it's on me to actually fix it. Honestly, I do think this was also character building. I think a phase in your life where you depend on your own that much is actually building a strong character. So I would advise everyone to actually have that time in your life. But it doesn't feel good.
I still have this feeling that if you want to deal with freelancers challenges, just start an agency. You'll have totally another challenges.
Yeah, it's different. It's better in some regards and way worse in others, but yeah.
If your friend wanted to become a freelancer, what are top 3 things you'd advise them to consider before doing it?
How big is your network? Before looking into your core skill set, look into how realistic it is that you actually find people to pay you for your services. That is pretty much the most important question I would ask, I think. The second thing is, what is your skill set? Do you think you are special in what you do? How good or how many competitors do you have? How niche are you and stuff like that? And be sure about your skill set, right? And the third thing would be, I believe, how would you position yourself? Be really sure about your personal branding, about the style of communication, come up with like a logo design, come up with like a website, come up with like interesting topics to speak about on LinkedIn or really anywhere, and be really sure about who you are, not what you do, but who you are and what you stand for, because charismatic people sell more.
Yeah, I wish to have the sky is the limit, but time is the limit. So the final question, if you were starting freelancing today, what is one thing you would have done differently?
Oh, that's hard for me to answer, because I do think that in lots of regards, I had an easy start. Um, I would probably brand myself more and be more charismatic and outgoing about who I am and what I do. I think like this position part of it, I could have. I was a student when I did go freelancing, and I didn't have like the charisma to actually go out and to tell the world who I am and what I have to offer, right? And I think that I would be doing that.
Got it, Cihan. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and for having this open conversation.
Yuri, thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, hit the like button on 5 stars and share it with your friend. That's it. We're done. See you in the next episode.